Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. Hope everyone's having a great day. So today, the news broke that the Republicans have unveiled their Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, colloquially replacement plan. Obviously, that's concerning to many people. 20 million people gained insurance under the Affordable Care Act. As a progressive, I wish President Obama went further and guaranteed a single-payer system for everyone. But you know what? I'm pro-Obamacare. I really hope it remains in effect. People need it, rely on it. There have been town halls where Republicans have been slammed for saying that they're going to repeal it without a replacement. Now they do have a replacement plan, and it's predictably a fellatio to private insurers and does not have the scope of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, beforehand. I'm going to give you guys a pretty honest breakdown of what this law means, and then you guys can decide for yourself what you think of it. What I do think is right now Americans are waking up to their healthcare plans and to what Obamacare did for millions of Americans. So this could create a greater path for single payer going forward. That's the silver lining to this, but right now it's looking a little bit grim. So just so you guys know, the Affordable Care Act kind of did three major things that are good things that I want to break down for you. The first, it allowed people under the age of 26 to remain on their parents' insurance for that period of time. Obama and the Affordable Care Act extended it to the age of 26. The second, it basically expanded Medicaid to cover all poor Americans. The Medicaid expansion was my favorite provision of Obamacare. It made Medicaid a more expansive part of American life and, you know, as the Republicans would say, dirty socialism, but it helps the poorest Americans, and that Medicaid expansion would have continued, I believe, if Hillary Clinton had been president, and now the Republicans are trying to put a stop to it. The third thing that it did was basically the government was the mediator between private insurance companies and people applying for Obamacare. It also issued tax credits, which is what the Republicans are trying to do more, just tax credits as opposed to the things I listed above. So it allowed low-income and middle-income people to have individual healthcare plans through the Obamacare website, and it helped private insurers and gave them more business, but it made it a little cheaper, and you did it through the government. I obviously favor a single-payer system, but that obviously didn't happen under President Obama. So, you know what? I wish this law was going to be improved and stay in place, but it doesn't seem like that unless the extremist Republicans say, no, like, this is not going far enough, and then there's just chaos amongst the GOP, and that's what I'm obviously hoping for because the Republicans hold every office in this country from president to dog catcher, so who knows what they can do with this unlimited power. Several members of the House Freedom Caucus, a group of conservatives, said the proposal does not go far enough to repeal Obamacare. God, you guys have great big hearts, right? This is Obamacare by a different form, Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio told Politico. They're still keeping the taxes in place and Medicaid expansion, and they're starting a new entitlement. You know, this entitlement rebranding is how the corporate media and how the right-wing framing has just completely taken over this country. It's not entitlement. Yet, you know what, actually? People are entitled to health care and to live happy and healthy lives. I'm sorry if I'm radical for thinking that we should join the rest of the industrialized world in guaranteeing health care for all. Yeah, forgive me. I'm so radical. Me and those lefty liberals. Rand Paul has been another vocal critic of this bill not going far enough. You know, it's unbelievable because sometimes Rand Paul will say some great things about foreign policy and I'll think, that's a guy I like, and then he does stuff like this and I'm like, I want to strangle you. You have no idea what you're talking about. So here's a breakdown of the bill and what it keeps and what it doesn't. It does keep the very popular provision of barring insurance companies from discriminating against people because of their pre-existing conditions and forces them to continue allowing adults to stay on their parents' plans until they're 26. So this does keep that provision. According to the House Freedom Caucus, that's not enough, and we gotta discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions. But thankfully, this proposed bill does not allow that. It does away with the individual mandate. So that means that's a step further away from healthcare for all, which I hate. It keeps Obamacare's Medicaid expansion until 2020. So that's part of why people are, the extremist Republicans are upset about it. And it contains tax credits, more tax credits than the previous Affordable Care Act and the previous healthcare law. Unlike Obamacare, which determines subsidies for insurance by income, the new plan would weigh the tax credits by age and then phase them out in increments by income. So under this plan, say a 30-year-old would receive $2,000 put towards insurance. That is not a lot of money. And a 60-year-old would get $4,000. So it goes up by age. But the important thing is that those amounts would apply to anyone who makes up to $75,000 and $150,000 if it's a married couple. And after that threshold, it would go down in 10% incomes. Compared to Obamacare, under which people who earn more than about $48,000 don't get subsidies no matter how old they are. So that's actually not bad compared to Obamacare. And I'm kind of starting off with the things that are a little happier in what they're going through in this new replacement plan. Of course, this new GOP plan also allows insurers to charge people older 5 times as much they do younger people. That might not matter for the 40-year-old making $50,000, but it would certainly eat up the extra funds for a 60-year-old making the same amount would receive under the GOP plan. So another reason that the Republicans are so bought off by Big Pharma, and many Democrats as well, but this is their plan, is, yeah, of course it helps private insurers if they get to charge someone older much, much more than younger people. That's what Obamacare tried to mitigate, and the Republicans can't have it. The private insurers need to be enriched and have their pockets lined day in and day out, so that's part of this plan. And because of that, older people in that $50,000 to $75,000 band might not actually find cheaper premiums under the GOP plan than they did under the Affordable Care Act. Still, they might feel they're getting some help, any help from the government, where they before received none, and feel less resentful as a result. So I'll put this in the description box later, but this is an indication of how politics works. 8 years ago, the Republicans had zero plan. And now, I hate to say that it's progress, what they're doing, but now they're acknowledging that they have to have some tax credits and something put in place. And that's how progress works. You can be against incrementalism in many ways, and I think Obama was obsessed with incrementalism and was not strong enough in many ways, including in the single-payer fight. But it also goes to show that little bits of progress along the way do make a difference because of the changing rhetoric and the changing substance of the plan of this GOP replacement plan. Now, let's get into the really bad parts of this bill. The proposal defunds Planned Parenthood. You know what? Yeah, because fuck women, right? This entire proposal just screws women over. So much fun for women, especially given the fact that there's a all-women boycott tomorrow. Women completely, can't be treated with any semblance of respect under the Trump administration. No federal funding can be made either directly or indirectly by Medicaid to a healthcare organization that provides for abortions, meaning Planned Parenthood, other than those in the cases of rape or incest to save the life of the mother. That's Planned Parenthood. So that's specifically targeting Planned Parenthood. The bill also effectively shuts down private health insurance coverage for abortion, same thing. According to the House and Ways Means According to a House and Ways and Means Committee digest, the measure forbids spending federal tax subsidies on health plans that include coverage of abortion, even if the customer doesn't get an abortion. So you can't use those tax credits on coverage plans that include coverage of an abortion, even if you're not getting an abortion. That's unbelievable. This would dramatically shrink working-class Americans' access to insurance-covered abortions and would lead to insurers dropping abortion coverage from their plans or both. That is key. That means that because people are going to be using those tax credits for the ones that don't cover abortion, that could lead to a ripple effect of insurers saying it's not even worth it for us to provide these plans anymore, and that just shrinks any lower income person's access to any insurance, even if they're not using those tax subsidies that covers abortion. It's scary. That means insurers may not begin to cover abortion whatsoever because it's not really worth it for them. It also eliminates essential health benefits. So as of December 31st, 2019, the Affordable Care Act rules that required qualified health plans to provide hospitalization, maternity care, mental health services, and other benefits would be sunsetted at the federal level. States would have the authority to set them instead, which means, blue states will do it and red states won't. And yes, we'll continue the disparity of the southern and northern states in terms of health care and education, and well, this doesn't have to do with education, but increasing that disparity because Republicans love to run things into the ground and just enrich their donors. And lastly, this is also maybe the most problematic element of this for me that is not going to get a lot of coverage by the corporate media. All of Obamacare's taxes are repealed, another boon for the rich. Everything from the tax on tanning salons and medical devices to the surcharge on high-income taxpayers will be gone. As we explained earlier, this is from an article, again, I'll put it in the description, this amounts to an enormous tax cut for the wealthy, at least $346 billion over 10 years. Every cent going to taxpayers earning more than $200,000. The proposal would sharply raise the limits on contributions to tax-advantaged health savings accounts, another gimme for the rich. Funny. I thought Trump was going to advocate for the working family. Look what's buried in there for taxpayers earning $200,000 or more. That's the scary stuff. In these laws, in these Republican penned legislation, it's always, how can we give more to the rich? How can we give more to our donors? And how, in God's name, do these do working people in this country get duped into voting Republican? Maybe it's because the Democrats are so weak on the other side and people respond to strength. But this is bad strength. This is insidious strength. Woo! Alright. I hope this doesn't pass. But you know what? If some conservatives are saying that it's not enough, the alternative could be worse. This is what happens when the Democrats are incompetent and can't hold any power throughout this entire nation. Yay, seems like we're going in the right direction with Tom Perez. Ugh. Have a great day on that note.